So I'm back on the DHR2. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I've got a bit of a disdain for this tyre. Not the performance or the tread pattern, it's killer. The performance is wicked. It rolls fast in a 60A, which is really good. Perfect back tyre in my opinion. But I've cut every single one I've put on except for the one double down that I ran of it. They cut very, very easily in the EXO, so I'd never run a DHR2 in an EXO. It's just not reliable, and there's nothing worse than being one lap in on a 6-lap ride or a 5-lap ride or whatever and destroying your back tyre. It just sucks. So I mean, you can put a tube in, but tubes are unreliable and you'll end up flattening that on your third run or whatever. So anyway, I'm back on the DHR2. It's a DH casing, 3C MAXX grip. It's pretty much it's the perfect tyre to be racing on if you're racing downhill, I think, depending on your terrain and conditions and whatnot. But it's fast, it's quite easy to pedal. So I'm on the patrol. I've come from an aggressor double down on the back with a cush core, so the weight is more or less the same. DH casing without a cush core versus a double down with a cush core, they're very similar. I tried it briefly on the front, as I tried an EXO DHR2 in a MAXX grip on the front, just to see what the DHR2 feels on the front, get a real good idea of how it performs. And I liked the DHR2. It was on the front, it was a little bit more reactive, a little bit more responsive, but a little bit less supple than the DHF. So I thought maybe the remedy to that is a DH casing. It'll make it feel like it belongs on the front a bit more supple, a little bit more forgiving, and maybe that little bit extra grip. I just found when I was fully leant over, it was. You can watch that review. I've reviewed the DHR2 up front before, but I felt like it needed a little bit more suppleness and just a little bit more grab, a little bit more hold. This tyre definitely has that little bit more hold, even though it's the same tread pattern, same grip, same compound with the MAXX grip. It just felt a little bit better. But at the time, I also had the High Roller 2 on the back, so I had DHR2 up front, DH casing, High Roller 2 DH casing out the back, and it was a pure slug to get up the hill. Now, good combo. In all honesty, I'd run the High Roller 2 up the front and the DHR2 out the back if I was going to do a DH setup or a DHF up the front. But if I only had these two tyres, the High Roller 2 would be going up front. The DHR2, I took it off of the front, put it on the back, and then put my standard control tyre, the DHF MAXX grip EXO TR, because it's reliable, it's robust. I rarely ever cut the DHF in the MAXX grip. I've cut the MAXX Terras a few times. It seems like the MAXX grip is just a little bit more durable. It's a little bit heavier too, so maybe there's more material there. So put that back on and put the DHR2 out the back, and instantly the bike was a much faster climber again. It was much more comparative to how the aggressor out the back climbs. So very similar. Doesn't feel like a slug on the descents either. It's super fast. Now, performance on the descents, DHR2 out the back, I don't know, but I don't think there's much better tyres. I don't think there's a better tyre out the back. The control when you're turning is excellent. The control when you're braking is phenomenal. It just feels perfect. It doesn't hinder the bike at all when you're turning left or right or leaning or changing direction. I mentioned when I did the Dissector DH MAXX grip review out the back that I had trouble changing direction on it. It was like it was fighting the front of the bike. So the front of the bike was doing what I want, and it was like I was having to put in extra body language to get the back end to do what I wanted, and it wasn't very good. The Dissector wasn't very good under brakes, so it rolled really fast. It was certainly a fast roller, but it just didn't have the control that I like. When you get out of shape, you want control out the back, and DHR2 has it in spades. In the MAXX grip, it's ridiculous, but I've only done a few rides on this. I've probably done maybe 10 rides on it, and you can see it's starting to chew the back of these braking bits out, which is fair. It's a MAXX grip, so maximum grip, minimum longevity. But if oh, little wormy, hey little buddy, what are you doing? Maxie's got worms. That looks like a butt worm, doesn't it? Anyway, the tyre's killer. It is so good. But the only thing I don't like is I don't have a cush core in there, so it does feel, even though it's a DH casing, I've had a ding before. I've had a rim ding on a braking bump. 27 psi in the rear, which is what I always run. 26 if it's super loose and I want to get extra, a little bit extra grip, loose and dry, and not too many big hits. But I'd prefer the feeling of having the cush core in the back just for that rim protection. I haven't put any actual dings in the rim, but I've felt it. I reckon DHR2, MAXX grip, DH, front and rear would be an excellent combination for your bike. And then you can, when the rear wears out, you put the front on the rear and you can rotate your tyres. Whereas with how I ride, I'm not rotating tyres. I usually take the front off when it's half worn. So I've got, to be honest, I've probably got 3 DHF MAXX grips in my shed that are half worn, that are still, you give them a scrub with some CT18, they'll feel like they're brand new. So I might give them out to random people I see on the trail running shitty tyres up front. So I might leave them in the car actually. See what comes from that. But yeah, I've got no worries in running this thing out the back. I love it. I'm probably gonna, the only thing I don't like is that lack of rim protection, and it's going to wear too quickly. It's going to wear really quickly. So I'm probably going to put the aggressor back on. I've got the aggressor double down. I've done a patch. We're going to see if that patch is held. It didn't. I used the Weld Tight tubeless repair kit, and it just comes with standard super glue, which doesn't work at all. So it's obviously sticky, but the super glue goes hard. It's got no flex, and as soon as the tyre flexes, it cracks, and then you get sealant leaking through again. So the patch didn't work, so I've repatched it with shoe glue. We'll see how that works. So the aggressor double down is probably going to go back on eventually. I'm going to wear this tyre out first, or wear it down for sure. I'm super happy to run it. It doesn't slow me down on the climbs really, and the control's excellent. The control's phenomenal. But for now, I'm sticking to a DHF on the front, and I don't know if I'll go back to a DHR2 double down. It's just a bit, the double down, honestly, it felt a little bit sluggish. This thing doesn't feel like that, and that was a MAXX Terra. So I don't know. That was a 2.3 as well. This is a 2.4 WT. I'm not too sure. And back on the high roller 2. I'm not going to put this back on. If I was racing DH, purely just wanted a intermediate tyre that's going to hook up, it'll be the high roller 2 up the front, DHR2 out the back. But even then, I don't know if I'd put a high roller 2 over a DHF. I used to give you some context, I used to run the DHF forever, and then I put a high roller 2 up front, and I found that it carried a little bit more speed in corners. But that was a 2.3 MAXX Terra EXO versus a 2.3 MAXX Terra EXO DHF. So it always rolled a little bit quicker, felt a little bit more sprightly, and it just bit like it was just awesome in the corners, and carried a little bit more speed while cornering. So I don't know, I'd need like a bike park trip or a shuttle trip to put this on the front and really give it a good test and see what it's like versus a DHF. But for now, that's just going to sit on the side. If you want it and you're local, yell at me and I'll get it to you. But otherwise, that's just going to sit in the shed collecting dust until I find another purpose for it. So anyway, DHR2, massive thumbs up. It's killer. It is such a good rear tyre. Excellent front tyre as well, like I said. More sprightly, more agile than the DHF. Just, I'm not sure if I've learned that full confidence in it up front versus how much confidence I have in a DHF up front. Yeah.